Starting to build a reading routine is tough, especially when you don't know what to read. If either you hate reading or you wish you were reading more, in this video I'll give you 10 book recommendations that strike a balance of being easy to read, short, but don't make you want to hide them away from people because they're children's books. I say this fact about hiding books away because this has happened to me. In high school, when I started reading, I brought a book to lunch. I sat across from my brother and we both pulled out our books and started reading. Our history teacher walked by and was shocked to see me reading, because normally my brother was the reader. And he asked me, "What are you reading?" I don't remember what exactly it was, but he started to hold back a laugh and then turned to my brother and asked him what he was reading. And my brother showed the cover of a 1,000-page long Greek epic. And then he couldn't hold it any longer. He started laughing and made a comment about the difference between our grades. I'll never live this down. It's humiliating, and I wouldn't want any of you to have to go through this. Now, if you don't know who I am, I'm Wilson, and not too long ago, I read nothing. And now I'm an avid reader, and I would like to help others find the joy that I have found from reading. So if that sounds interesting, consider subscribing. Let's start with nonfiction, as this is my favorite and what really kicked off my reading journey. There's nothing like a book that you can read and then immediately apply the concept to your life, which have a measurable change. I feel like legally I have to start with this book, as it's my favorite book of all time. I won't shut up about it, but this is the book that kickstarted my love of habits and finally allowed me to create the daily habit of journaling. I have tried many different times, but the structure given in this book finally made it stick. It no longer feels like someone pressed the fast forward button on my life. And more importantly, I'm able to tell what happened in my life in a more engaging manner. If you don't know by now, the book that I'm talking about is Storyworthy by Matthew Dix. Fantastic book. It's really easy to read as it's broken up by him telling his own stories, and he's a master storyteller. And I like this book so much that I actually rewrote it word for word by hand. That's enough of Mr. Dix. Let's move into a memoir. Honestly, in the filming of this video, I just learned that an autobiography and a memoir are not the same thing. Who knew? But sometimes these type of books can drag on as they need to go through every detail of their lives, 500 pages, and sometimes if you're really lucky, you'll get the backstory of their parents and their grandparents. But not this one. This one is extremely short, coming in at 144 pages. It's very well written, it's easy to read. Only slight issue is that the topic is kind of dark, as it's written about a kid who's in a concentration camp with his father. The book is Night by Elie Wiesel. And if you like this book, I believe there's also 2 other parts that are even shorter than this book called Dawn and Day. Now, I've only read Dawn, I haven't read Day yet, but I'm sure that they're all equally good. Next up, a book that has changed the way I think about an activity that occupies most of our day. Breathing. In this book, the author details actionable ways to go about improving your breathing and how that has a measurable effect on your life. Now, the book is Breath by James Nestor. I had to make this one short as I'm pretty sure I went over the time in the last couple. Next up is a book that I finished recently and then directly applied the principles into my life and got a raise in my job. It turns out that everything in life is a negotiation. We're always trying to influence the way people think, the way they act, whether for good or for bad. This book details strategies to get people on our side more often than not. Each chapter starts off with an in-the-field example of a hostage negotiation, as this book was written by one of the FBI's top hostage negotiators. The book is never split the difference by Chris Voss. And the guy kind of looks like this guy.
Into the mouth. Nice.
Now, our last nonfiction book needs to come with a warning label, because this book might be a gateway drug for you wasting a lot of time studying people who are long dead. It turns out that humans have figured out this life shit a while ago. How to be happy, fulfilled, deal with all your problems, but maybe we've forgotten? If you haven't checked out his work, I am surprised and humbled that I can introduce you to Ryan Holiday. And Stoicism, with the book being The Obstacle is the Way. Since reading this book, I've started to look at everything in life a little bit different. Now, if the train's late, I can use it as an opportunity to meditate. Threaten to be fired from my job? maybe will lead to a cooler new opportunity. So now let's hop over to the land of make-believe. Now first up, and this is kind of cheating, but really anything by Colson Whitehead. Maybe my favorite author, has a knack for writing in a simple way that still shows off that he's a fantastic writer. He doesn't have to use big words or fancy sentence structures. It's really simple, but it is readily apparent that he's hilarious and a fantastic writer. I'd say the top piece by him that I would recommend that would skyrocket you into a reading habit is this book, Nickel Boys. It's nice and short. I think it's about, or actually I don't think, I know that it's 210 pages, and then immediately you will likely be hooked and buy other books from him, which you lucked out because he has 10 more books. Book from my second favorite author, and as I'm reading the script back, I realized that this book is not fiction, but I guess I love nonfiction, so I wanted to just sneak another nonfiction book in there. But particularly if you are a creative, this book is great for you, and it's Show Your Work by Austin Kleon. This is the type of book where you can sit down and read it in one sitting, as most of the pages have graphics on them, so you just churn through the pages. Also, the pages are tiny, book tiny, not too many words, and the book in total is only 200 pages. And if you like this book, there are 2 other books in a similar series of the same size, talking about similar topics. Now, if you want lighthearted, fun reads that paint a crystal clear picture in your head of what exactly is going on, I can't recommend another author than Nick Hornby. Now you know that he's good because 6 of his books have been turned into movies, one of them being adapted twice. Now the book that I'd recommend you start with is about a record store owner who has a near photographic memory of music. That doesn't make any sense. An encyclopedic memory of music? Whatever. He likes music, and he gets broken up with one of his girlfriends, and he God, I can't talk. Gets broken up with, and goes on a journey to discover why each one of his exes broke up with him, and potentially rekindle his old flames. Interesting read. The book, which is also a movie, is high fidelity. That being said, if you are a soccer fan, absolutely read his book, Fever Pitch. I almost had to stop reading this book because there was so much soccer terminology and it was almost too in-depth in terms of soccer. Next up is something that I wish I learned earlier. By far, my favorite type of movie is thrillers, particularly of the psychological variant, whatever that means. Movies such as for some reason it never occurred to me, why not read what I like to watch? And now I realize nothing gets you turning the pages faster than a good thriller. One that I'd recommend, The Silent Patient. I believe this book came out semi-recently. Oh, this one's signed. No, it's not. Oh, it is. Wow, look at that. I didn't even know that. Anyway, yeah, it's a good book. I don't want to spoil anything. Bonus book. If you really want to feel like a genius, I've got a book for you. Really short book, around 200 pages, really easy to read, but the writing is spectacular. Potentially one of the best living writers of our lifetime. Murakami. This book is a collection of short stories all centered around one theme, that theme being men's lives without women. The title aptly being Men Without Women. Really second bonus book. Speaking of short stories, if you like short stories and you want a simple, easy book that's told from the perspective of a cat, which sounds like it's maybe been done before, but not like this. Goodbye Cat. Tremendous, made me cry. Just read it. And if you don't like cats, check out the book, The Art of Racing in the Rain, which is from the perspective of a dog who wished that he had thumbs. Okay, so maybe I went over the 10 book initial recommendation in the title, but I just wanted to make sure that you had a book that you were psyched up about and you're ready to start building the habit of reading. So now you have books that you want to read, but how can we strategically implement an unbreakable routine of reading? Stay tuned for my next upload where I'm going to detail an exact process that I use to become an avid reader. Thanks for watching.